What we think as Christians. Here's what we think in the back of our minds. Well, I'll be saved by my keeping all the rules and doing everything right, and if I never make a mistake, pray for me that I'll make it through. That's what we... Listen, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and I hate to tell you something negative, but in your Christian life, you're liable to... There's the potential that you could make a mistake. You could do something wrong. I hate to tell you that. And you're all dressed so nice and look so holy this morning, and I can't even conceive of it, but it's conceivable. And here's why. As long as you're in flesh, as long as you're in a physical body, there is the potential to say or to do something wrong, or to say or to do something that, if it weren't for Jesus, you would feel like could disqualify you from God accepting you. But go back now, Anton, please, to Galatians 2:20. Why does Paul say, here's the way I live my life in the flesh? Here's my focal point as I live my life in the flesh. I live it by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Paul says, I got to keep my faith and my focus on 100% every day in the flesh on the fact that there's a Jesus who knows me inside and out and knows what I'm capable of, good and bad, and he loves me anyway. And he accepted me, and not only that, he gave himself for me. Why did he give himself for me? To erase and take away all those things that ever disqualified me. Jesus has already done that for me. So Paul says, when I get up in the morning, I'm expanding on it here a little bit. Paul says, when I get up in the morning, I say, my faith is in Jesus, and he loves me, and he's given himself for me, and I live my life by that. That's what gives me the focal point for my life. That's the foundation for my life. The changes that take place and the perfecting of our lives don't come from us grappling with it, trying to make it happen. It comes from him growing in us and growing that life into us. Now, we participate, of course. But the primary way we participate is by believing in him, and by trusting in him, and by relying on him, and by totally depending on him. And what I think is the Christian that's the most mature and the most grown up is the person who depends the most on Jesus. You see, when you're a baby born in the hospital, you grow up by learning to be independent. But listen, we already know how to be independent when we come to Jesus. What we have to learn as Christians is how to depend on him more and more, and how to rely upon him more and more, and to where we're totally dependent on him, to where we're totally reliant upon him. And when Jesus himself is everything, and just all there is in us. Let me conclude by telling you a little story, and I might have told this before, but I heard this story one time about a man who was a great theologian, and studied the Bible. He was all these PhDs and initials after his name. And by the way, Alice, I'm not demeaning PhD. Alice, has a degree. I didn't mean to sound like I'm demeaning that. Dr. Kahn. But anyway, so this man was a doctor of theology and very highly respected, and had studied the Bible all of his life, and was a great theologian. And he came here to the United States, very famous man, elderly man, and the newspaper where he landed on the airplane sent a reporter to interview him, because this man was world-renowned, very famous. So the reporter comes to meet this Dr. So-and-so who gets off the plane, famous theologian, and says to this man, again, very famous, that studied the Bible all his life. She says to him, the reporter says, Dr. So-and-so, in all your years of studying the Bible, in all your years of studying the Scriptures in the original languages, in the Hebrew and in the Greek, and all the writings of the Church Fathers, and all the theology, and all the things that you've studied inside and out in the Bible, and you know it better than anybody else, and all your years of studying, what is the greatest thing? What is the greatest thing you've come to learn from all your years of study? And this man said, here's the greatest thing I've ever learned. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. And what he was saying by that is, if you've got that, that's really all the theology you need to bring you through. That's the fundamental focus of our lives. And I think what Paul is saying here in Galatians 2:20 is, that's the fundamental focus of his life, the Apostle Paul. The life I live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, and here's what I focus my faith on. He loves me. You need to be reminded of that sometimes. Maybe more often than you realize. He loves me, he knows me, and he loves me, and he gave himself for me to make right everything that ever could have been wrong. Let's all stand up today.
Jesus!